Zakkerne is a simple, powerful, and first web application in the Middle East that serves as a reminder engine for any SharePoint installation. Zakkerne reminds you to renew on time and keep tracks of the expiry dates through an automated alert system and workflow equipped with an advanced dashboards and reports. Zakkerne, having been developed on a cutting-edge technology, is also engineered for SharePoint Online, multi-tenancy cloud applications, and has a comprehensive mobile application. With Zakkerne, you can save time and money by easily managing all your documents' expiry dates, allowing you to reduce labor costs and to avoid paying heavy fines and missing contracts renewal dates or losing your warranty documents. Zakkerne has a very simple and easy to use interface which doesn't require any technology background. It is also affordable and you can easily acquire it with no need to spend on technology infrastructure or any capital costs. Zakkerne can be used on SharePoint Server or SharePoint Foundation. You will enhance the productivity of your business as it gives you the freedom to focus on the important aspects of your work rather than worrying about missing expiry dates of your vital documents. With Zakkerne, you can get reminders, renew on time, and keep tracking of employees' passports, residence visa, work permits, employee contract, health insurance, employee ID cards, visit visa, life insurance, vehicles registration, driving license, vehicles insurance, maintenance agreement, invoice and warranties, or any other document that has an expiry date. Here we can find the landing page or Zakkerne where we can have an image or multiple images that can be configured by the administrator to the image you want to have. We can have dashboards. Those dashboards, for example, are for the list of passports and one for the list of probation period where we can see the passport that have expired. We have 70% of our passport that have expired, 10% expiring that will expire soon, and 20% that are still valid. For the probation period, for example, we have 22% of our probation period that will expire soon and 78% that has expired. So all those dashboards reads from SharePoint data. Also, we have a web page showing all the upcoming notification. For example, we have created an upcoming notification on the health insurance, one of the passport, and here we can see, for example, health insurance. We have one that will expire on March 3. Our primary contact, the secondary contact, if you want to notify the primary contact, if you want to notify the secondary contact, and the email template used. For example, for each reminder that we create, we can specify an email template. We will demonstrate that later. In our demo site, we have created multiple subsites, one for each department. For example, we have a subsite for the HR, a subsite for the operations, a subsite for the customers, for the contracts. Let's go, for example, on the HR site. If you go to the HR site, we can find at the landing page a web part showing our health insurance, for example, and we have also all the upcoming notifications. We can have them on this subsite. This subsite can be available only for the HR department. So on our main site, it can be for the administrators, and each subsite can be specific and viewable and editable by its own department. For example, we have created multiple SharePoint lists. One of them, let's say, since we're working on it, health insurance. If you go to health insurance, we can find a list of data, a list of information where we have the first name, last name, the class of the insurance, the renewal date, the primary contact, and secondary contact. What do we mean by the primary contact and secondary contact? The primary contact and secondary contact are the persons that will be notified when the expiry date, when the renewal date will occur. For example, if I have created a reminder saying before 10 days of the renewal date of the health insurance reminds me, it will go for each health insurance before 10 days and send the notification for the primary contact and the secondary contact. For our list are so customizable, we can go and we can add as much as we want as columns. Let's say we have columns, we can say create column, and when we go to create a column, we can give it a name, for example, and we can have multiple types of columns. We have single line of text, multiple line of text, choices. We can have, for example, we can select values of choice, a number, a currency, date and time, a lookup field where it can read value from existing data and other lists. A checkbox is any person or groups, hyperlink, calculated value is a text, task outcome, or any external data. For example, let's create a column for the health insurance where we can give it for example, the name of, let's say, department. We can know the person we are working with, works in which department, and let's give it choice, for example. Here we have the list of choice. We can say department, HR department, we can have IT department, we can have sales department, as much as we want as department, and we can select if the type we want to show it is a drop down menu, a radio buttons, or checkbox. So we can select the default value. We can say if we want it to have, it is a mandatory field or not. So we don't want it to have, it doesn't require that this column contains information, it's not a mandatory field, and you say okay. So if you go to our list health insurance, we can see a column that is a department. For example, let's try to create a new item. A new item, we can give it a title health insurance, let's say, first name Joe Smith, class A, renewal date, let's say it's gonna be any date, primary contact, we select our primary and secondary contact, and the department, we have the list of values we have filled for our choice. Let's say it's IT guy, and we select it, and we see it here, it's being created with the IT. We can easily export data from Excel just by clicking edit, and we paste our data here, or we can fill it as an Excel data sheet. So now we have seen how to configure our list. Also, for the fields showed here, it's a view. There are in a views that we can modify at any moment. We can create a new view. So if you can go all items, we can select the columns we want to show in our landing page of our list. Here are, for example, we selected first name, last name. We can add as much as we want columns and select their order. Also, another thing, we can have permissions for this list, which means we can say who are the persons who can modify this list, who can view data on this list, who can work on this list. So we go back now to our main site. This site is used mostly for the administrator of Zakkerne, where he can create the different reminders and all the required configuration for Zakkerne. If you can see on our left, we have list SharePoint list, which one is Zakkerne configuration, Zakkerne contact, Zakkerne email templates, Zakkerne logs, and Zakkerne list reminders. We will explain each one separately. So Zakkerne configuration, in this list we can configure if you want, when we send a notification, if we want to add users as in CC and in BCC. In Zakkerne contacts, here we define the contacts that are gonna be used as primary contacts and secondary contacts. So in all our lists, the primary contact field and the secondary contact field are lookup fields on the list of contacts. So here we have a list of our contacts. We can add as much as we want as contact. We have a name for the contact. We have an email, and we can also give him a phone number. So we have configured our contact that are gonna be used for receiving notifications. The Zakkerne email template is a list that will contain where we can define our email template. What we mean by email template is it is the email that is gonna be sent by the notification. So, for example, for the passports, we have a notification that has a name, in subject to have passport expiring, and the body of the email can be dynamic, which means it can contains metadata and columns of the documents that the notification is being sent on. For example, here we have dear recipient name is the name of the contact receiving the notification. Please note the passport of name is a field in the passport list will expire on the expiry date. So for example, if we have the passport of John Smith that will expire on the 28th of June, the person will receive a notification saying, Dear Mr. the name of the person, let's say Shadi Dips, please note that the passport of John Smith will expire on the 28th of June. The email content is dynamic. So we can define once our email template that are gonna be used in our reminders and notification. The Zakkerne logs is a list that will show all the notifications that are being sent. So it's mostly used by administrator that will show them what is the notification, to whom is being sent, and the date of being sent, and the email template used. So for that, it can be used by administrators to view all the notifications that are being sent. The most important list in Zakkerne is Zakkerne list reminders, where we can define our created reminders. So here we can define new reminders. I can view created reminders. Here, as we can see, we have, for example, a reminder created on passports on the expiry date field, and the list passports notification period, which means the period, the number of days before the expiry date to send the notification on, if you want to notify the primary contact, secondary contact, and what is the email template that we use for sending this notification. So as we have seen before, this was the email template passport we had in the list email templates. So let's say you want to create a new reminder. For example, let's say we want to create a new reminders on passports. We select it is on our site HR. We have here list of all the list on that site. Let's select passports. We want to notify the primary contact, yes. We want to notify the secondary contact, yes. And here, for example, in our previously created reminder, it was 45 days. We say we want to create another one before 20 days of the expiry date fields. Then we have to select the email template. Our email template, for example, it show us all the predefined email template. For example, we want to use a passport one, since we are working on passports. Expiry date field name, which means which is the field, what is the field that we are gonna use for the expiry date. Here it's expiry date. Who is our primary contact? We select primary contact. And who is the secondary contact field? We can select the secondary contact or any field that is a lookup field on the list of contacts. We click on save, and then we have our new passport reminder that has been created here, and you can see the notification period is 20 days. For example, for the probation period, we have created an email template to say, Dear, the name of the person, please note that the probation period of his first name, last name will end on the probation period due date. On the reminder list, we have created a probation period before 7 days of the probation period due date. So, if we go to our list where we have the list of the probation period, we can see in the employee cards, we have the probation period due dates of Mr. Maroon Ao that will expire soon in 7 days. So when the kernel runs, it can find that this item will expire in 7 days based on the predefined list reminder that you have created on the list employee card. So what's it gonna do is gonna send an email to the primary contact and to the secondary contact. Our contacts can be multiple users, which means if we have, instead of having a name, let's say we have a department HR, we can add all the emails on our contact separated by a semicolon, so the email can be sent to all the contacts. I will explain that later. Just for example, when Zakkerne sends the notifications, the primary contact will receive an email telling him, "Dear Joe Kairos, please note that probation period of first name Maroon, last name Al, will end on the expiry date probation period due date, which is Wednesday, June 29, 2016." The last point I was talking about was the contact. The contact is a person or can be a group of persons, which means that if I go to the Zakkerne contacts, I can simply by adding a new contact, let's say instead of saying I want to have its name directly, let's say HR department, and you can here add multiple emails separated by a semicolon. So more I add emails, more it's gonna send them to this contact. Thank you for your time and hope you loved and wish that our demo was useful for you to know how to use the kernel on your SharePoint site.